may be crypto winter, but at least here in Las Vegas at CES, the metaverse is alive and well. I'm just seeing so many companies in the metaverse section of the show. And my next guest is the author of Into the Metaverse. She's Cathy Hackl, who's one of the world's first Chief Metaverse Officers, and the co-founder of Journey, where she works with top luxury fashion and beauty brands on Metaverse and Web3 strategies. Cathy, so great to have you on the show. And so, just like I said, just seeing a lot of corporations with Metaverse developments and to be seen, to be discovered, to be launched products. So I know you work a lot with them on brands and monetization, etc. So in what ways do you see corporations, I guess, most interested in entering the metaverse?
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right now is a lot of interest in trying to understand how to enter this nascent space, right? Because we're building towards the metaverse. I would say the metaverse is not fully here. We're building towards it. So it's a lot of experimenting, trying to understand, especially when they're going into gaming, right? Because gaming is a bit of an on-ramp. You're trying to understand what the audiences there want to see, right? And then how do you start connecting? What I'm really excited about is trying to connect the physical and the virtual. And how do you start to create these new commerce models, right? So yeah, I mean, and we're already starting to see some of that happen in some of these virtual spaces. So,
all right. And I had a chance to read just a little bit of your book here. It's Into the Metaverse there. Anyone interested in learning how corporations can get involved? What are the top tips? And I did see one of them was buying virtual land, like get on it now.
Well, yeah, I mean, granted, I wrote the book a while back, right? Because it's a publishing schedule, but you know, some of the top tips that I tell people, any brand, basically the book is for anyone whose problem is the metaverse or gaming or Web3 within a company, right? Anyone that's their CEO comes to them and says, you need to do this. But I definitely, you know, buying virtual land, I mean, things have changed a bit since I wrote the book, right? But I would say anything gaming, exploring gaming is really important. For me, is trying to understand, especially the younger consumer, the Gen Alphas that are out there, right? Because you need to remain relevant. And gaming in these virtual spaces have become the new mall, right? Their new campfire. So,
okay, but a lot of these gaming platforms, they're enclosed environments, I would say. So are you seeing a trend in going toward more centralized, closed, walled gardens? Or is there more interest in the open, decentralized world?
I think long-term, open and decentralized is going to be a really positive thing. Right now, it's still very closed, right? But I think a lot of these companies are flirting, right, with Web3. I mean, they're a little shyer now because of everything that's happening, but they've been flirting with the idea and the concept of, you know, maybe it's NFTs, maybe it's some element of loyalty, right? You know, I love, for example, what Starbucks is doing and the way they're approaching it. Obviously, it's not a gaming platform, but they are gamifying the loyalty aspect of it. So
I was just going to ask you, what are the top use cases corporations are integrating into the metaverse right now?
I would definitely say, you know, brand awareness, obviously, but also loyalty. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more there on like true utility of actual access to experiences. And I think we're going to see a lot in the fashion space on connected fashion. I'm personally working on 3 collections, one including connected jewelry, which is hard to do. But yeah, creating these, you know, these connected fashion that is a physical item, right, that we wear, but that has a virtual component. And yeah, it's a really exciting time.
Well, in your book, you also mentioned one of the questions you received from an AI was, who's the next Coco Chanel? And you got a really interesting answer. And
yeah,
go into that.
I wholeheartedly believe that the world's next Coco Chanel is probably a 10-year-old girl designing skins in Roblox, right? I think that those are the new and up-and-coming designers. And I mean, the fashion industry and the tech industry have never been closer than right now. So
you're also saying it could be an AI.
It could potentially be an AI, or that young Roblox developer girl is going to co-create, right, or collaborate with AI to create the future.
And everyone's going to have avatar skins. Well, so we're just going to be constantly changing bodies in this metaverse world.
Yeah, I think in the virtual space we'll be doing that, and in the physical space, if we're wearing some type of wearable, we'll be changing what people can see through the glasses. So
now I want to mention, I read that and I was thinking, wait a second, because like I hate dealing with virtual assistants, you know, as it is, like an AI assistant in the metaverse. I mean, that's just inviting problems. I like talking to real people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's going to replace like the person-to-person contact, but eventually, you know, there might be some level of companionship or something that happens with, you know, with virtual beings. You know, obviously a lot of brands are using them to engage with younger audiences. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think like AI in general is an exciting, you know, space. Great, you know, important moment right now with everything in generative AI.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of, you know, potential issues, ethical ones, and yeah, and you know, I'm still all about, you know, human to human contact though.
Well, you know, I get it if it was a human who was an avatar who came at me. But if it was just strictly an AI and the conversation went in weird directions, like, you know, maybe not.
Yeah.
But in terms of, well, you mentioned fashion. How are you advising folks in the fashion industry to get on board in the metaverse?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working with a lot of fashion brands, Ralph Lauren, for example, and people in the beauty space like Clinique. You know, a lot of them are really leading the way, which is really interesting. The Gucci's of the world, right? And the Tommy Hilfigers. The way I advise them is, you know, first a lot of education as to what this is, what are the potential things they can do, but having a clear strategy with clear goals, but remaining flexible, right? Things change so fast in this space, but experimenting, getting out there, trying to understand what the audiences want, and even starting to think about not consumers, like the term consumer like bugs me, but starting to think about how are these like audiences or stakeholders or, you know, eventually co-creators, right? You've got Nike with Artifact creating, you know, Swoosh.Nike and the collaboration process that's happening there. So, yeah.
All right. And finally, we're in a crypto winter. We're dealing with a lot of potential fraud in the FTX.
Yeah.
I understand that in New York, they are now suing Alex Mashinsky, who's formerly CEO of a crypto lender called Celsius. And so there's a lot of bad sentiment right now in the crypto world. Is that having a chilling effect at all in metaverse activity from a corporate brand perspective?
Yeah, I think a lot of brands are taking a step back, maybe from the NFT hype and anything crypto related that might, you know, lead them down that path. They might be taking a step back. What I do not see slowing down at all is the investment in gaming. You know, in standard regular gaming, let's say. So.